Sometimes in life we can feel a little lost, or we just know that there's something more, or we're missing something, but it doesn't seem too far away, but we just know there's something else. And that's what this episode can hopefully help you open up the rabbit hole of discovering. I'm going to give away 2 different techniques, exercises, whatever you want to call them, to help you personally dig out things in your life that are going to help bring you a little bit more joy and happiness, because everyone's unique, and I can sit up here and give you quotes and advice and all this stuff, but doing the work yourself and actually going in and finding out specifically some of the things we're going to talk about that apply to you, that's how you're going to nail it on the head. So I'm really excited for this week's episode. Sit down, get ready to tune in. It's going to be a short tidbit. I'm hoping to keep this episode literally like a 10 to 15 minute motivational kind of, you can listen to it on a walk or a drive, and it's not too much, it's not too heavy, but you get some really good actionable steps out of it. So let's get into it. If you are new here, my name is Amanda McCormick. I am the host of the Happy Hippie podcast. This is the show where we explore all different ways that you can add more happiness into your life, whether we're talking about fitness and health, mindset and mental health, or we're just talking to literal people and interviewing experts to hear more about different topics. You can walk away from this show with stuff that is just going to make your life better, and it's going to make you happier. Next week, we have a nutrition episode coming up. I originally sat down to record this episode. I've been researching and kind of have a little bit more of a fun science-based episode for next week, but this is crazy. That's not that crazy, but I came up with this episode on a whim. I was trying to write down literally a happiness tip for TikTok. I don't know if that's happy, sad, or whatever feeling came up with that, but I literally was making a TikTok, and I was trying to do a TikTok. I knew I wanted to do one around happiness and just put out a tip, and I started writing with my little thumbs, little tweedling, and I spit out something I thought was pretty good, and I was like, wait a minute, I actually want to dive into this a little bit more and share this on the pod. And since that was today and it's really fresh, I actually ran up to get my mic, and I was like, okay, we're going to record this right now, so everything's fresh in my head, and we're going to put off the nutrition episode to next week. But I'm really excited. This is one of those moments where you feel motivated, and sometimes motivation, yes, it is fleeting, but I'm trying to ride that wave of motivation and just spit out what I'm feeling, something that helped me, and hopefully this one topic, instead of it being a multifaceted leveled episode, we're talking about one thing, basically one thing. It can stick in your head and we can work with it. So when I sat down to make my little happiness TikTok and I wanted to give one tip, the first thing that came to me, and I started writing it so quick, was just how life is pretty much about unlearning what's around you. And I've spoken about this before, but truly, no matter what I wade through, whether it's self-help books or different spiritual practices or just talking to people who are doing things that I wanted to do or look happy, I kind of find a very similar message, which is also why I don't know, I'm so fascinated by the interconnectedness of different religions and text and quotes from different people around the world who never knew each other but kind of have the same core message about humanity. It is really interesting. The idea of following your heart, following your intuition, and doing what you enjoy in life to find a mix of happiness and success. There's even a whole Japanese principle on this. I mispronounce it every time, and I'm live recording it, so I'm not even going to look it up, so apologies, but ikagai, whatever. It's the same, not whatever, but I'm acknowledging I can't pronounce it with no information right now in front of me, but it's the idea that literally following your heart, following the things that you enjoy is what's going to bring you the most happiness in life. And again, that's going to look different for everybody, but I really do believe that unlearning things that we were taught, whether it's when you go to school and they tell you you have to do these types of things to make money, or these types of careers are not going to make you money, so you have to avoid them. These types of people are bad. These types of experiences are bad. Don't go to these countries. They're bad countries, or whatever. We learn things from other people. And again, for good reason sometimes. Sometimes it has to do with safety. Sometimes it has to do with safety in terms of financial safety, or even marital safety. Things that we get from other people, our parents, schooling, talking to your friends. Even, I don't want to name drop. There's one of the people that does one of the salons I go to, because I get a lot of little salon services done, so nobody's going to know who I'm talking about, but one of the people I go to the salon with always gives me advice, and it's always advice that just it does not sit with me. I feel judged a lot of the time when I'm with that person. They are so well-meaning, but any piece of advice they give me does not go with what I want to enjoy in life. And I think I'm at the point in life where I recognize that, but I was probably more impressionable a few years ago. So this person was always telling me, like, I can't move away from my parents, or I can't do these types of things because it's going to make my parents feel bad. But a lot of the times when people tell you these things, that's how they feel. Like, obviously people have their own moral principles and values and things that they live their life for, because they were taught by people who were taught by people who were taught by more people, and that's how they see life. So a lot of the time when people give you advice, it's coming from this lens of that's all they know, and it's not bad. Like I said, some of the advice is given for good reasons. They have a reason to be saying these things, but it doesn't have to apply to you per se. And one thing I really like to remember is not to take advice from somebody who's not in the area that they're giving you the advice, okay? Who's not living the life that you want to live in that area. So for example, if someone's giving you financial advice and you don't think they're very well financially off, maybe that's not a good person to take that advice from. But maybe that same person is really, I don't know what topic I should go into. I'm going to say gym. Maybe like this person's really good in the gym and they understand a lot about muscles and how muscles are built. If they give you advice in that area, maybe that's a little something you can ponder on. Again, you don't have to take everything that everyone says literally, but when people tell me, like when I see people living a life in terms of like their career that I'm just like really not interested in, like it's not a career path that I want to go down or a way of life that I want to live, and they give me advice in career, I have to remind myself, like, yes, it was well-meant advice. That person's just sharing stuff to me, but I don't have to take it, and I also don't take it personally because they are not living the way that I would want to live. Like if I had a mentor, I'm going to follow what that mentor says because they're doing something that I actively want to do, and I'm seeking them out and almost like learning from them, or even in some situations like paying a mentor because it's something I want to do. So I don't know if that was like a little rant, but that is a good tip I wanted to share. Like a lot of the times I have to almost pause and remind myself when I get advice from people who are living life a little different than I want to live in different areas, that I don't have to always take what they say, because I personally know what I enjoy. Now, sometimes in life, I feel like it gets lost, it gets clouded. There's times where I feel like I'm more connected to what I enjoy and who I am. And there's other times where sometimes little bits of life get in the way and I feel like there's a little bit of like a fog there, or I feel a little detached. And maybe you can relate to that, where, you know, you go through phases and you just don't feel like yourself, or you feel like something's missing, or you just feel like you know something that you used to enjoy and you're not really doing it anymore. Like I used to do art all the time, and there's been periods when I'm so detached from like creative endeavors that I feel it. I feel it in my everyday. I could be like at the supermarket and have like a Raven moment where I'm like, whoa, something's off a little bit. And then I do some like reflection, and I'm like, girl, I haven't done anything creative or like let myself have that time in a while, and I feel disconnected to it. Or when I'm not near nature for a while, I feel the same way, where that's a part of me, that's something I enjoy. And I'm going to talk about how to discover these things in a few moments. I'm going to give you real examples, but I can feel it like in my bones, like not in my essence. I can literally feel like something's off. And I believe that's part of like our human nature. Like we enjoy things for a certain reason. You have passions, you have preferences and opinions, and you have them for a reason. Like every person's a little bit different, and there's a reason you're drawn to them. And I feel like when we lean into it and we explore that and we reconnect with who we are and what we enjoy, that's when life becomes a little bit more enjoyable. And there's a quote where it's basically saying that the best gift of self-love, or the highest form of self-love that you can give yourself, is giving yourself a life that you actually enjoy. And doing things, taking the steps to create a life you actually enjoy, is a form of self-love. So let's talk 2 different exercises / activities to bring back more joy in your life. If you're feeling a little lost, one of my favorite activities to do, it's pretty easy to do it, but it's also fun because sometimes you just come up with new ideas when you do it. So if you've done this before, try it again, because I'm going to be doing it again this week too. Creating a list of things that you enjoyed as a kid. Okay? So we're going to break it down into 2 different things, but the first thing we're going to do is a list of just things that you enjoyed as a kid, and either getting very specific with it, where we're talking about how you actually like to spend time. I have a journal out where I'm going to give you my own examples, so it's going to get vulnerable, but how you like to spend time, things you like to do, places you like to be, environments that lit you up, maybe literally activities that you like to do as a kid. And you can take kid into teenage years, like just think about your past, like what were things you always enjoyed doing? And we're going to learn how to kind of take them, observe them, and I'm going to make you do one thing that's going to make you be like, damn. And then after we do the thing that's going to make you go, damn, we're going to learn how to take little pieces of these old parts of ourselves and bring it into our current reality. So the thing that's going to make you go, damn, is being so real with yourself and writing down the last time you did these things. Let me show you my list. Because in my head, I always tell myself, because I use this as an example, I'm like, oh, I'm a creative person. I enjoy this. I enjoy that. When I did my list, I wrote down 20 things I love doing. That was the title of this activity. 20 things I love doing, and the last time I did them. There's years on this list, and I'm delusional because also I feel like after 2020 or like even after 2019, like time has jumped, and I feel like, I don't know, like I'm in a loophole, and I feel like I lost 5 years. But it's been years on this list since I've done things. So I'm literally popcorning. I'm just going to read some of the things I wrote down. What are things I love doing? And again, leaning into what you like to do as a kid, but this is also stuff I like to do currently because some of it is the same. I literally wrote walking my dog because I'm not going to tell you the time that I haven't walked my dog because I live in a house with other people and we all like walk him differently, but it's embarrassing, that one. I put down doing fun makeup, hiking, doing a vision board. Vision boarding, when I did this activity, which I think this is an old page. I just opened up my journal. It says 6 months. So one of the things I like doing is making vision boards and putting them together. And it said I haven't done one in 6 months. And I was like, what? Painting, 4 months. And I'm sitting around and I identify myself as somebody who literally loves to do art. Haven't done it in 4 months. Now, not to feel bad about myself, or again, we're going back to compassion, which I feel like we talk about each week, but just acknowledging it, being like, maybe that's a reason I feel really disconnected. Using colored pencils, I haven't used them in 7 years. I was like literally a colored pencil artist in high school. That's like my favorite medium. And I made some crazy pieces and I was great at portraits. And maybe, I don't want to do that every single day, but I thoroughly enjoyed using colored pencils and I haven't used them in 7 years. Insane. Going for weekly runs, 2 years. Like there was a route I used to run and I haven't ran that route in 2 years. Then fun makeup, like I put down 2 weeks because I haven't done my makeup like up, like, you know, like glamour makeup in like 2 weeks whenever I wrote this. I put sunbathing, but I think I did this a long time ago, but again, same thing. I said I like going to brunch. I love going to brunch, and a year. I haven't gone to brunch in a year. Making playlist, 1 week. What else did I put? Trying on new clothes, I put down. I also used to like making astrology yoga videos, and I haven't done that at this period in a year. You get the point, right? Like crazy numbers were in here. And then again, there's some of the things in here where it was days, but this was just 20 things I love doing. I mixed it up from things I like doing as a kid, a teenager, and things I like doing now. When I made this list, whatever resonates with you more, go for it. But it was really shocking, and it was like I had such a resistance to wanting to write down, because I looked at the list and I looked at some of the things and I was like, do I really have to write down? Like, that's embarrassing. It's been years since I've done that. But having this all on a piece of paper and being able to flip back to it and looking at it, it showed me like 20 things I loved. And I see like half of the things, like 10 of the 20 things I loved, I haven't done in years. Isn't that like a little like jarring? And it really encouraged me to lean into things. So at the time of this list, I think I literally did this last year, I think, because this is like an older book I have. I even put photography and like videography, and currently now that actually like set me off, because I was like, I love doing like real photography stuff. And this past year, because I do content creation and like marketing for brands, so I was like, I love literally creating content, but like also taking photos. So this past year I ended up upgrading my gear and kind of shifting part of my business towards shooting, like offering packages to shoot like photos and videos. And I'm going to be also offering up like portrait sessions soon. But that almost came from this activity that I did almost a year ago, where I was like, I love setting up compositions and photos, and it made me kind of go down a rabbit hole, and like I would just watch YouTube videos about photos and like editing and photography and like even like directing and how people like control people in shoots and stuff like that. And it gave me so much fun entertainment, and it was things I was not doing literally for years. So this was such a fun activity, and I feel like I credit doing this activity every now and then to kind of steering me back on the right path. So I really recommend it, and you have to do both parts where you write down things you love and the last time you did it. Moving on to our second and final activity for this episode. So I was talking about kids, like what you enjoyed as a kid in the last exercise, and also things you wanted to do a little older, like what you enjoyed doing when you were older. This next section, really think back to when you were a kid for it, because we want to push past all the things we learned, all the things other people told us we should do or can't do, or where the lines lie and why we can't go outside the box, outside those lines with our careers and everything. Because I feel like, I don't know, maybe it's just my own journey in life, but I feel like a lot of the things I went for were warped by fear, like by people telling me you literally can't do those things because they make no money and you're gonna starve and be on the street. And I was like, whoa. Or they pushed me away from a certain career because they labeled it as like bad or whatever. So I feel like that was part of my journey, was like unlearning that, and this helps with it. But this also isn't meant to, because obviously guess where I'm going with this, we're leaning into like the career area, but this isn't also to just like change your career. This is just to bring more joy into your life, because what we're going to talk about is thinking about what we wanted to do as a kid. Like, what were the things when you had like your yearbook, or people ask you on like homework when you were 10 what you want to be when you grow up, and kids put those answers down, and they're always really funny to adults because like they're weird answers. What were those things? Now, a fun way to phrase this is thinking about if you had an imaginary life you can live. There's no rules here. This is actually a question I love to ask, like as like an icebreaker. It's really fun. No rules. You're living, there's your imaginary life. So if you had 10 other lives on other planets or whatever, like other lives you were living, there's no rules, okay? What would those be? That's the first part. So I'm going to read you literally all of mine, because some of them are funny and I'm like, damn, don't really want to admit some of these, but literally 10 things, imaginary lives. And again, it can be from where you're feeling now, but also think back to like what you would have answered this question like if you were a kid. I put down a pop indie singer, a graphic designer, a dolphin trainer, because I love dolphin trainers, like real dolphin trainers, or people who work with dolphins, like marine biologists is also what I put. I wanted to own a bakery. I wanted to own a gym fashion brand, and I also wanted to just be like a flat out nomad backpacker, because like I do like traveling, but just like flat out, like my whole life was just backpacking. Like that would be an imaginary life I'd love to live. An actress in comedies. Then I also put SNL or stand up, Broadway performer, and then I put model. But again, I don't remember when I did this. This was like an older one I opened up to. But you see what I'm saying? Like no limitations here. Just write down what you would have done if you could do it. So that's the first part, is just like having fun with it. Maybe you want to play some music and just like write them down like as they come up. But just think into what you would have answered. Like answer this as 10-year-old you. Now, again, this isn't to make you change your career into one of these things, but there's a reason that you're drawn to these things, and there's a reason you put them down. There's something in you that just likes different elements of them. Maybe you like the freedom element of it, or the creative aspect, or the type of lifestyle that person lives, or what you're dealing with. As in, for me, when I put dolphin/marine biologist, like I love ocean life, and I love being in nature and all of that stuff. Backpacking, same thing. Loved being out, traveling, meeting people. Like that's something I enjoy, which influenced me into writing that down. Now, part 2 of this exercise is being realistic with yourself and going through this 10 list, drawing a line down the middle to make a second column, and asking yourself how you can do bits and pieces of these imaginary lives in the life that you live now. And again, you don't actually have to do this job, because you could have put down cowboy, and obviously you can't go, you're probably not going to go train to be a cowboy, but maybe you put cowboy down because you like horses, and maybe there's a program that you could work with horses in, or you can horseback ride, or you can volunteer at some sort of event that has horses. You see where I'm going with it? Same thing with me and the dolphins. Let's see what I wrote down. Literally, I wrote going on some sort of educational tour or guide. There's also a lot of volunteer work opportunities, which I've been looking into them because I also love turtles. And I've been looking into doing a volunteer opportunity where you go to Costa Rica and like help with hatchlings, but you can also do it with like dolphins, I think, at certain places. You can get approved for programs. So doing that at some point in my life would be something that would like really light me up, because I love dolphins. Like, you don't understand. I'm going to cry. I love dolphins and I love turtles. They're like my two favorite animals. Like, I love sea life so much. So doing something where I can see them or help them or do something with them would really make me happy in life. Now, that's maybe something I can't do every day, but I want to do it, you know? But, for example, bakery shop owner, I could decorate cake and cookies, which I never do. I literally never decorate cake and cookies, but I love the idea of decorating cakes. I could do like a weekly baking project, or go to some sort of baking class, or you know what I'm saying? Like, go to different things where I can decorate food, because like I actually enjoy doing that. And maybe I could literally buy more cookies. You see what I'm saying? Just write down whatever comes to mind. It doesn't have to be one thing. It could be multiple things. It could be something that sounds stupid. Doesn't matter. Literally for us, for SNL and TikTok and stand up, I put like make funny TikToks is something I could do. I have not done that. I have not done that, but I did write it down because that's a plausible thing. If I like doing sketch comedy, I could make TikToks. Like, that's a 1 on the scale to 1 to 10. The second level would be joining like an improv group or doing improv with my friends or something like that, you know? There's different ways that I could lean into that. There's different ways I can lead into singing. Like, if I want to sing more, I can literally find ways to sing. I can do karaoke with friends. I can sing in my car, but I have to add those things into my life because I wrote them down because I'm drawn to them, you know? Gym fashion brand, like I can play around with gym fashion, like looking at the things you wrote down and writing down sizable things. And even if you want, you can write the most extreme thing down. Because like I said, like I could literally go and take a trip with dolphins, but I could also put on like a National Geographic film about dolphins, because I never do that either. I could sit down and watch it because I love the topic and I can educate myself on it. So there's things you can do in your room, in your house, on your computer to these topics. There's things that you can do with your friends, things that you can maybe step out and try a new experience, or maybe it's even something that you build up to, like a trip or something you go explore in your life. Like, you can really scale it up and down. But a combination of the first activity and this activity, looking at things you enjoyed and things you wanted to be, because your heart always knows like what you like, that's what's going to lead you towards so many different things, really. Like, maybe doing this little journaling activity can just bring the awareness to you, and now you're going to go through your life thinking about these things just a little bit more. And maybe in a few months you do this activity again, and it builds up and it builds and builds, and it leads you somewhere where you may have never thought to go since you were a kid, you know? Just think about sprinkling things into your life. The point of this episode is we're unlearning and reconnecting, and it could feel silly, it could feel weird. We have a resistance to things sometimes, and like I've mentioned in past episodes, when we have a resistance to things, it's because our body does not like change. It does not like having no control, and the unknown is a space we have no control in because we don't know it's there. We can't make up a scenario in our head about it because we truly don't know, and our brain freaks out about that. So obviously all of these careers, all of these activities maybe you haven't done in your adult body or whatever seem a little unknown to you, but trying little tiny bits and pieces of them are going to make it a lot easier to bring them into your life, because like I started the episode with, the biggest gift and the biggest act of self-love you can do for yourself is creating a life and living a life that you enjoy, which is why boundaries come into self-love, like cutting out things that you feel do not suit you, or having boundaries to protect what you enjoy, like saying yes to opportunities because it aligns with you. These are the things that are going to bring you more happiness. So on that note, do the activities, try them out. Let me know what you think. I might make a post on Instagram, like a visual of it, if it makes it much easier for you to like take a screenshot of the post on Instagram instead of like writing things down live. So if you didn't write down anything, I think I'm going to do that. And I hope that these exercises help you on your self-discovery journey, help you just find a little bit more happiness in your life. Again, it doesn't have to be anything drastic, but just doing really small things. My original list, I put reading fantasy books, and I started reading fantasy books last year, and that has just made my life so much more enjoyable. I'm doing the same things I've been doing. I didn't change my career. I didn't change where I live or anything crazy, but I have having a good time reading my books, and that was something I forgot I enjoyed. So doing these little audits on yourself and checking in with yourself on the things that you actually enjoy, pushing past that dust that may accumulate with life, because that's what life is, we can find those moments of joy and happiness that just make life so much it makes it worth living. It makes it so great and so fun. And yeah, let me know on Instagram. My name is Happy Holistic Hippie. DM me, share this episode. Maybe somebody else can get use out of this episode if you share it. And just, yeah, I want to hear from you. So thank you so much for joining in. Next week, again, we're going to be talking about biohacking a little bit. We're going to be talking about different nutrition tips and things that can help you out, like foods that are natural, pre-workouts, post-workouts, good for recovery, tons of information in that area. So stay tuned, and new episode will be up Tuesday. Love y'all.